Well, my friends, welcome to your seat at the table. And Gray and White Mama's back here hiding somewhere. The last couple of days, she's been hiding up under the table. She's cheesed off at us because like we had issues with fleas this year. We have issues every year, and this year they've gotten out of hand toward this last month. So we're basically dousing every cat we got with as much of this flea shampoo stuff as we can. And most of them you can't give an actual wet bath to, so we use this dryless stuff. And of course, the smell is not something that the cats like. It is what it is. And we're looking at Crush orange soda, 0 calories, which zero sugar. That the only way I can drink any of this zero stuff is if it's as cold as possible. That's got slush. It's cold enough to be actually slushy. So we're looking at the Grimoire, the manual, a practical theme on early. Geez, I can't pronounce half this stuff. Thermology, 14th edition, 2050. So this came out about 1990. This was the follow-up to the Shadowrun core books, where they just it took off and they were doing well, so they started expanding the rule base. And one of the things that they had to do was rework the astral projection or astral stuff. Forget exactly what it was. This also added some new rules for crafting magic items and spell creation, I believe. And so let's see, let's take a gander at it. It also introduces us to another a wider range of magical capable individuals. Let's see. Yeah, the astral space combat system is reworked to provide a better play balance. They added enchanting and spell design rules, as well as new overview of nature spirits, elemental spirits, and 2 new categories of watchers and free spirits. There are also rules on adepts, people who specialize in single skill magicians, and initiates, magicians of greater power and ability than those previously possible. Through initiation, a magician is not only able to raise his magic attribute, but to gain new abilities of meta magic. Rounding out the Grimore of 2050 is our revised spell descriptions. One of the early issues I had with with Shadowrun was for trying to get people to play it to start with, and the magic system was confusing at the beginning, and it took a while to try to understand how it was supposed to work. And then when these came out, the later second, I wouldn't call them second edition, but later editions expanded on the early rules and helped to clarify some things that were a bit. Especially when my friends and I were so used to the D&D system for Magic, that causes issues when you're crossing into a different genre or into a different company's rule set, trying to understand how they view Magic, right? So talk about making magicians, magic in society, magical child, magic and religion, magic and law. Magic and religion, there's some arguments in Shadowrun because unlike your traditional like D&D settings, like I was using as an example, where you have clerical magic and there's power based off of actual gods, and then the traditional wizard magic, which is uh, depending on what setting or whether you're pulling from the magical weave or the mana or something deep inside yourself or your own soul or whatever. It varies from system to system. Uh, but the point is, it's not powered by religious fervor. Where in Shadowrun, the argument is that you might be the priest of a religion and you cast magic, you're still a magician and not a cleric in that classical concept. Although I would argue that there's some of these magical pathways that would argue that, in my opinion. Magic and religion, magic and the law, magic and business, adepts. Some folks can do more than I can, but no one is better than I at what I do. Sorcerer adept Philip Anger. And so we got shamanic depths, physical depths, magical adepts, powers of the physical adept. And we get into chapter for initiations. See, initiation works on many levels to make a magician better at what he does. It sharpens his sensitivity to magical energy and purifies his systems, allowing him to handle more power. Magicians who tie their religion and their magic together say it brings them closer to their god or gods. Are they right? No one knows for sure. As for Shadowrun rules, initiations as the following effects. It increases the magic attribute and can raise it above normal maximum of 6, and it lets the initiated magician or initiate use meta magic. See the meta magic on page 22. Benefits, karma, ordeals. Meta magic. Centering can reduce the drain of magic or act as a countermeasure to various penalties affecting magical target numbers. It operates by using a non magical skill as a focus for the magician's concentration. For centuries, magicians in many countries and traditions have studied such skills as singing, dancing, playing musical instruments, speaking ancient languages, and so on. Since the awakening, initiates of various traditions have discovered the reasons behind this practice. The mental and physical discipline involved helps in the skill helps focus the will of the magician, enhancing his ability to handle magic without suffering harm. They center him, put him in harmony with the center of his being, as well the well from which all magic springs. Centering skills, choosing centering skills, centering tests, centering versus drain, the quickening, shielding, masking, Gias or Giza, Gaius. It's all remember how you pronounce it, how you want to pronounce it, I guess. Yeah. So whenever a magician uses 2 full points of magic, he must choose a gift. This to use this rule, magicians must keep a separate tally of their total magic attributes lost during their lifetime. When a magician loses a second or fourth or sixth point, he picks up a new geas. Tell them he does he cannot use magic at all. His power is frozen. Think of like a focus is something to allow the magician to focus on casting the magic. Excuse me, an artificial replacement for his lost ability. Magical groups. Orcs like me, elves like you. In the lodge, we share the bonds of more than blood. We are one. So, orders, covens, lodges, temples, and circles are just some of the names magical groups may take. People tend to use social critter or tend to be social critters, even oddballs like magicians. The drinking society that caters to magicians in their shop talk is not necessarily a magical group, however. Neither is a trade association or even a school faculty or wage age research team. What makes a group a magical is the same for an individual magician. A magical group has made an advancement in their art of their main commitment. It is why they formed up the group and why they stay together. Great visual structures, joining a group, founding a group, building a group, group purpose, membership sizes, strictures. Here's some pre-generated magical groups. The Sisterhood of Eridine, the Hermetic Order of the Erect Aurora, Bear Doctor Society, the Mitshima Research Unit 12, the Moonlight Thorns. You get then enchanting. So we get a whole section on how to enchant equipment, gear, make magical items, or take existing mundane items and add magic to them in some manner. Yeah, so we got tales mongering, alchemy, artificing. Bleh. All right, chanting and drain, chanting gear, tales making talismans, chanting materials, making ritual materials, refining materials, alchemy, yes, that's always an interesting thing that came up way back in the day, and it's something I've had to toy with all through the years that I was been a GM. Is where, for example, you have a D&D setting where the PCs defeat a basilisk, for example. It is said that basilisk blood can cure the petrification that the basilisk gaze does. So players will drain off and harvest as many valuable items from their kill as possible with the intention of reselling them or selling them to make loot, without the understanding it. Well, I've got a vial of basilisk blood, so I can't pour it. Just pour it over Joe over there who got petrified and have him to be unpetrified. No, the blood has to be refined or processed into a potion or some kind of serum that can then do its job. And so you have to take that harvested blood, for example, to a crafter who will then turn it into a magic substance that then you can use to reverse the petrification gaze effect. That's kind of how we're talking. Then we have alchemy, focuses, artificing. Artificing is used to actually make all the magical focuses that magicians use. The artificing requires the enhancing shop or enchanting shop and the item to be enchanted or the materials from which it will be made. First, however, the character must design the focus formula. Designing the formula. That way you know how many days and times it's going to take long it take to make craft this item. Exotic materials, material basis, alchemical materials, the enchanting test, all useful rules. Because the original magic rule set for Shadowrun was kind of vague and not well established, and it left out a lot of things that which you would be expected for the first edition set of rules. So I don't, and I'm not sure. I'd have to get the second edition rule book out and look in there to see if it had been included in that. Spells and spell design, how spells work, spell force, detection spells, combat spells, manipulation spells, elemental effects, spell formulas. So everything you need to know to create and craft your own spells for your character. Astral space, and yet another combat field. Astral security, astral quests, types of quests. We in the chapter on spirits, spirit form, astral form, manifest form. Spirits in Shadowrun take on a huge contributing component for Shadowrun magic and the Shadowrun magical world, compared to any other game system that I'm familiar with. These carry more clout and have more potent interaction capabilities. Uh, Elementals, fill domains and nature spirits. It's when they started introducing the insect totems and stuff that started really going, oh Christ. Toxic domains, pretty nasty stuff. Or clever creative stuff, depending on which side you want to play it, I guess. Right? For Watcher to see free spirits. Then, when a spirit escapes its summoner's control, it may decide to hang out in the material world instead of vanishing back to its place of origin. Spirits who do so are called free spirits ever since the awakening. There's a series of books. It's by Eddings called the Belgariad. There's actually three sets. There's three different series. The first one has 5 novels in it, if I remember right. And there's a chapter where the kid Belgariad is grandpa, or Belgarian is the kid. So Garen and Belgareth, his father or grandfather figure, who's actually like a timeless immortal fellow from early on, like his aunt. And I can't think of the Weasley known Prince of Dresna that his name that accompanied them. Anyway, they were way up in the north, and they encounter an area of barbarian tribes who are highly superstitious and also engage in something similar to what spirit magic is. And Belgareth is forced to become involved in a conflict with a uh, a local shaman, and the idea is they summon a spirit. Then they have to keep that spirit under control. It has to stay within their circle, or it cannot violate their circle. And if it gets away, the first thing, or it gets loose, the first thing it does is usually turn and consume the person who summoned it. That's just kind of popped in my brain anyway. Free spirits. I mean, hey, maybe I'm the only one in this world that read the Edding stuff. I still got all those books out there on my shelf collecting Cat Hair and Dust. Right? It's been a while since I've read them, but probably been 12 years since I read the whole damn all three series. It's like 5 books, 5 books, and then 3 books or something like that. Spirit energy, personal domains, human forms, spirit powers, insect shamans, the hive. I did a video already on the Brotherhood, and this ties right in with that. Some very creepy stuff. Very good bad guys. How could you not see that guy as a bad guy? The insect threat. Then we get our appendix, magicians and technology, spell damage, magical prices, magical supplies, got a list of, price list of items and stuff, glossary, spell directory, right? It's a good book. It's interesting. A lot of useful stuff in there. Anyway, I'm Rick. You're not. Till next time, have yourself a great